Hi, I am Stefan van der Speek. You could know me from the TU Delft, where I am a professor at the Faculty of Architecture. In my spare time I like to cook, and that is why I have the ambition to start my own restaurant in the center of Delft. I find the ambience of the crowded squares very appealing, and now wonder what the optimal location is to start my business. The target group for the restaurant is not yet fixed, since my aim is to match the location of the restaurant with the movement patterns of my possible customers. My hypothesis is that the Beestenmarkt would be suitable for an all-you-can-eat restaurant, but a small investigation is necessary to see whether I make the right decision. The research question can be stated as follows: what is the optimal location to start a restaurant, when focusing on the market squares, in the center of Delft? Now I will walk to the left side. In order to find an answer to this research question, I will elaborate shortly on the framework that is used, where the scope and thus limitations are depicted. The framework used for the research is based on three aspects: geographical data, time boundaries, and available data. The geographical data is defined for the three biggest squares in Delft. First, the markt is selected. The current usage of the markt is mainly focused on tourism, where the church, town hall, and Delft porcelain shops are nice attractions of Delft. Secondly, the Beestenmarkt is selected. The current occupation of the Beestenmarkt is mainly by cafeterias, lunchrooms, and restaurants. Lastly, the Beestenmarkt is selected. This square can be characterized by its several clothing stores, and the jumbo supermarket. The time boundary for the research is set to 1700 hours until 2200 hours. Assumed is that people have dinner between 1900 hours and 2100 hours, therefore a small extra boundary is added either for searching a restaurant or having a little drink after dinner. The data that is used for the research is collected by 30 students and 40 working citizens of Delft in the year 2013. Important to keep in mind, it could be that patterns have changed over the past 2 years. The method that I used contained 3 steps. The first step is to analyze the accessibility of the areas of the squares. Each square will be analyzed in short to determine whether they are accessible by foot or bike. The second step was to determine the activity of the participants between 1700 hours-22H00 and 1800 hours-22H00. This was a step to check whether the participants can be assumed to be looking for a nice restaurant to eat. The third step was to evaluate the squares based on the results of the previous steps. Here you can see my analysis of the 3 squares based on the accessibility by either bike or foot. From this analysis it is interesting to see that the markt has the most access points by both transport nodes. Also interesting is that the Beestenmarkt is half the size of the Beestenmarkt, but has more access points. Markt. As you can see, the markt is a very crowded area. Although the shops close around 1800 hours, the amount of people keeps nearly the same. Beestenmarkt. The same pattern can be seen for the Beestenmarkt. It doesn't seem that people are less interested in the area when shops close. Beestenmarkt. I find this was interesting. The amount of people at the Beestenmarkt decreases greatly between 1700 hours and 1800 hours. Assumed is that due to the closing time of the clothing shops, people are less interested in the area after 1800 hours. Here I made an overview of the previous results. I concluded from this that I can assume that people in the Beestenmarkt are not looking for a restaurant in that area, where the people in the other 2 squares do stay in the area. Evaluate the squares. Markt. The markt is a crowded area, well accessible by foot, and due to the high amount of points within our time boundaries seems attractive for a new restaurant. Beestenmarkt. A similar story is for the Beestenmarkt. It is well accessible by foot and has a significant amount of point within the time span. A new restaurant could be opened here. Beestenmarkt. As explained before, the assumption is that people at the Bastiansplan are not looking for a restaurant in that area, therefore the square is not of interest for opening a restaurant. I have to conclude that the Bastiansplan is not interesting for me, but both the markt and the Beestenmarkt have potential for my business. Well, they have potential since my choice is only based on the amount of activity in the area during dinner time. My hypothesis that the Beestenmarkt is suitable for a new restaurant is justified, though it should be smart to think of the implementation of the concept. Discussion. Both the markt and the Beestenmarkt have positive and negative aspects for my plans. The markt has a lot of tourism, thus high amount of activity, but it is questioned whether people will be staying there for dinner time. The Beestenmarkt has already a high amount of restaurant. This could be positive since the area thus suits the demand of the people for restaurant businesses. It could be also a negative aspect, since it is unknown whether the demand is already covered by the other restaurants. I have made my decision and my restaurant is a great success. Thank you for your time. And I hope to see you all soon in my new restaurant.